Good morning, world. Last time we talked about the dealing with a person who's not a great communicator. Today we are talking about tips for helping someone who's not a great communicator be better at least communicating with you. First is to learn to ask and answer questions, because if the person is not the best communicators, one of the easiest, most effective ways to get information from them is through questions. But you have to learn how to ask the right questions to the person. You have to learn how to ask and answer questions in your relationship in order to facilitate the communication, in order to start getting the answers, in order to start getting the communication that you are looking for from that person. 2, model the communication behavior that you desire. When you do this, you're giving the person an example of, hey, this is what I'm looking for from you. And you're also helping them become a little bit more familiar with that style of communication. By modeling the behavior, they see it before them. They get to spend time on the receiving end of it, which helps them a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier for them to pick up the being from the receiving to the communicating end of it. 3, tell them what works for you. A lot of times people, again, have this expectation of he should know, she should know, we've been together long enough. No. If you are looking for a specific type of communication, if you are looking for someone to do something specific to help communicate with you, it's important to give that person the cheat sheet, give that person the code, let them know, hey, this is how you talk to me. These are the things that you can say. These are the things that you should say in order to get my attention, in order to let me know things, in order to communicate with me. Let them know what works for you. That way they can, they don't have to figure it out and then start implementing. You get them started with they have it figured out, and now it's up to them to do the implementation. 4, be mindful of their boundaries as well as their limits. Sometimes the way one person communicates is not necessarily the way the other person, and it's stylistic, it's personality, it's upbringing. There's a lot that goes into how we communicate as individuals. So it's important to also be mindful of where your partner is coming from. Maybe they did not grow up in that household where we talk about everything, or maybe they grew up in that household where we talk about everything. So it's important to be mindful of where the person is coming from so that you can understand what are their limits, what are they able or unable to do, what are they learning to do because of, for the sake of this relationship. And of course, what are their boundaries? What are the things that they don't want to talk about? What are the things that they don't want to talk about at a certain time or in front of certain people? So make sure that you know and respect their boundaries and understand their limits so that, you can work with them. And finally, if you do all these things and it's not working, it's important to consider therapy, because a lot of times couples have difficulty coming together because each person is coming from a different viewpoint. And of course, we all believe that we're right. So since you're right and your spouse is right, it's important that you sometimes going to therapy can help you find that middle ground, help you have that mediator in a way who helps you come to that center place where you can both learn to work. Hey, this from yours work, this from mine work, and then how we make it work for the two of us as a couple. Quick recap. 1, learn to ask and answer questions, particularly learn to ask and answer questions within your relationship with your partner. 2, model the communication behavior that you desire, because by showing your partner that behavior, they get to be more familiar with it and it makes it a little easier to pick up. 3, tell them what works for you, because they're not psychic. If you tell them, you give them a head start to being able to give it to you. 4, be mindful of their boundaries as well as their limits, where they're coming from, as well as those places that they don't want to go. 4, I think that's 5. Consider therapy. If you're doing everything you can on your own and it's not working, consider therapy, because sometimes a few weeks with a therapist can help you guys get the ball rolling so that you can, figure it out and put together a plan that works for you. And as always, if you're dealing with something that is more than you can handle, there's a lot of help out there. So please do reach out and get that help. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.